Tunisian crochet, what is it? How do we use it? How is it different from regular crochet? I am here to do a short tutorial on what it is and how we use it. So Tunisian crochet is kind of a cross between knitting and regular crochet, and how you do it is you use a crochet hook, but normally you'd use a crochet hook that is much longer, because like knitting, you're going to go all the way across the row before you turn around and come back again. So it's called, there's a forward pass and a return pass, and I'm going to turn the video around and get down on the table and show you how that's all done in a minute. There's just a few little tips and tricks first for Tunisian crochet. You will want to use a hook that is 2 sizes bigger than your regular hook that you would use. If you're doing a really small, like just 10 stitches or so wide kind of piece of work in Tunisian crochet, then you're fine to use a normal crochet hook, obviously 2 sizes bigger than you would regularly use for. So say DK, you would normally use a 4mm, for Tunisian crochet you'd use a 6mm. But if you're making a wider piece of work, then you will need to use a longer hook. So you get special hooks called Tunisian crochet hooks. I can't say Tunisian very well, can I? In America, other places, they say Tunisian, but I can't say that either. So anyway, if you want to make something big using Tunisian crochet, you'll need to get yourself some Tunisian crochet hooks. You can get really long ones, which are quite heavy and bulky, or you can get ones with like a wire and then a stopper on the end, which I think are quite good. And if you later on, once you've got past the beginner stage, if you want to make something Tunisian crochet in the round, then you will want to get a double-ended Tunisian crochet hook. So that's got like the hook bit on both ends, or you can get one with a wire in the middle and a hook on one end and a hook on the other end. So yeah, that's it. Let's get started and I'll show you the Tunisian Simple Stitch. Yeah. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm going to be using Paintbox Yarns Simply Chunky, which is a bulky weight yarn, and it recommends using a 6mm crochet hook. So as I said, for Tunisian crochet, you go up a couple of sizes. So I've got some 8mm hooks here, and I've got just a regular 8mm crochet hook. You need to make sure it's got like a straight shaft, otherwise you won't be able to stack lots of loops on it. So this will work for a few, a narrow piece of work. This is a long straight Tunisian crochet hook with a stopper on the end. So if you're using this one, you need to be careful all your loops don't fall off the end. So this is a Tunisian one, which I've been using, which has a stopper on the end, and this is the other sort that I talked about, which is a wooden one with a big long wire on the end and a stopper. This is just a cheap one, it's not expensive. I got a set with lots of them in from Amazon. So it's up to you. I'm gonna use this one for this example, and we're just going to start with a chain. It's called a setup row in Tunisian crochet, but essentially you're doing a chain. You know what, that feels a bit rough. I'm going to go for this hook instead for my tutorial. Right, so let's get rid of those. Yeah, I did just chuck them on the floor. So I'm going to chain, let's chain 10, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going to be going into the back loops. So we are going to insert our hook into that back loop so you can see the back bumps of the chain, insert in, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then you leave the loop on your hook, and then you insert into the next back bump, yarn over and pull up a loop, and just do that all the way across, inserting into that back bump, yarn over and pull up a loop. And at the end you should have 10 loops on your hook. So do you remember we started with 10 chains, and you will end up with 10 loops. So let's just get into that last one, and we'll double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There you go. So that was our forward pass for our setup row. So our setup row is slightly different because obviously we're working into the chains, but we still have to do it obviously. So then you yarn over and you pull through 1 to make a chain. So that brings it up, brings the height up. And then we yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way across, going through 2 each time. And that is called the return pass in Tunisian crochet. So that's quite a therapeutic repeating pattern. Right, so let's get to the first row. So you can see that you have these bars coming down, and this is where we're going to work for our Tunisian Simple Stitch. So we don't go into this first one, we go into this second vertical bar here, so not there, in here. And we just go into that single, the front post kind of thing, yarn over and pull through a loop, and then into the next one, yarn over and pull up a loop. You may need to make sure that you're not pulling them too tight, because these Tunisian stitches, Tunisian crochet fabric has a tendency to curl up, and we don't want that. That's why we go up to hook sizes bigger, and that's why you must make sure when you've pulled the loop through that you pull it up to the height of the work, to hopefully minimize that curling. Right, so I have done 9. I've got 9 loops on my hook now. The end one is a slightly different, the last stitch. It's called in Tunisian crochet. So you need to go through your chain. So it looks like it's a bit lower down, I always find. And if you turn your work, you can see the 2 loops, and it's behind those 2 loops that you want to go. And then yarn over and pull through, and that's your 10 loops on your hook. And then we do the return pass, and that's exactly the same as we did before. So it's chain 1, and then it's yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back. And that is our first row. Now you can see that the fabric's thicker at the bottom and thinner here, as we haven't worked into these ones, because this is where we work into for the next row, and that's why the fabric ends up quite thick, and I find it uses up more yarn than regular crochet does. So you'll want to watch out for that when you're ordering yarn for your project. So we don't go into this very first bar, we go into that second bar, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then into each bar across, yarn over, pull up a loop each time. Right, and that end one, you need to turn it and find that. You see it looks a bit lower down, I always find, and it's those 2 end ones that you go through. And then our return parts, just through 1 for the first chain, and then through 2 all the way across. Okay, and then you can really now see the fabric coming into place. Okay, it's a really pretty textured, looks kind of like woven fabric, I think, and it's quite nice. Oh gosh, destroying the joint. I'll do one more row and then I'll show you how to do a bind off. Okay, so we're just going into those loops again, yarning over, pulling up a loop, and that end one down there, those 2 loops, chain one, and then return pass. You can already see that it's starting to curl up. Blocking helps, and yeah, using this bigger hook size helps, but it's still quite a curly fabric. Right, so I'm going to do a slip stitch bind off now. So what we do is we go into that first, well, the second vertical bar again, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the next loop. So you end up with 1 loop on your hook still. So for every bar you go into, you yarn over, pull through, then pull through the next loop. And that does like a slip stitch bind off to finish it. It's called a bind off, same as fastening off in crochet, but you have to do this bit, otherwise this stitch just ends up being incomplete if you don't do this last bit to finish it off. And into that last end chain like you did before with the 2 loops, and then through. And there you have it. That is Tunisian Simple Stitch. You're going to give it a go. Let me know in the comments. Really hope you do. And check out my other videos for some other Tunisian crochet stitches. See you soon.